Welcome to the Recycle Podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts, Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
Dr. LaFanya Jones-Hines,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall. Now, don't get it twisted. We're not going to be your stereotypical therapist.
What we will be is informative, down to earth, a little spicy, and vulnerable.
All right, interns, turn up your volume, grab your pen and paper. It's supervision time. As a reminder, this podcast is not meant to take the place of a relationship with a licensed mental health professional.
Welcome back to session 54, Latent Nostalgia.
Y'all, I tell y'all, we certainly be coming up with these titles.
We poets and we know it.
I know, I'd be loving them.
Yes.
Just like on the This Bride, somebody had put one of the sessions in there. I was like, I don't even remember. I remember that title, but what was we talking about?
Exactly.
I had to go back and look at that joint.
So for all of our interns that are trying to guess what that is, it's basically staying in a relationship because of potential and or memory.
I kind of feel like that's one of them ones that it feels self-explanatory when you hear it.
I know.
But when you live in it, it don't feel self-explanatory.
No, not at all. Not even close.
So when I think of staying with somebody for potential, the first thing that comes to mind is you're with somebody that has an entrepreneurial spirit. And
or want to have an entrepreneurial spirit.
There you go. In my mind, they believe they believe that they have an entrepreneurial spirit, but it doesn't actually come to fruition in any kind of real, tangible kind of way. But you keep getting caught up in the what if and the hope that they will get there and they'll be able to establish whatever it is that, they keep saying that they want to establish.
Like the dreamer. And by dreamer, we mean dreamers who only dream. Not people that dream and then get it together and make it work.
And see, I think you have different types of potentials, people who live in potential. One is the one that you define, Dr. Strickland, the one who is they really do have that entrepreneurial spirit, and they have ideas and they know how to delegate and they know how to maybe even make it happen. They just haven't had the right break yet. And then you also have the dreamers, like Dr. Wall was saying, like they're just a dreamer.
It's just a contemplation.
And so I think when we talk about staying in a relationship based on potential, you have to figure out which one of these people you're in a relationship with. The one who actually does have the entrepreneurial spirit and have the drive and the ability to go out and try and get it, or you have just like the 40-year-old rapper.
Oh.
Dr. Wall, don't look like that.
I was gonna say, did we strike any nerves out there?
I know, because she got stuck in this position.
I was like, do we strike any nerves out there? The other type of potential that I was thinking about is not necessarily the entrepreneur or the dreamer, but the promiser. I'm gonna do better. We gonna get married. We gonna, like this, the promiser, so that they always keep you hooked just enough. Or like the dangling carrot. Y'all ever seen the cartoons where the horse and they got the carrot dangling?
Breadcrumbing.
There you go.
But we're not saying on the level of narcissism, but breadcrumbing. He really be believing what he's saying.
Right. And I think that's one of the differences.
Or she.
We'll say,
True that.
And I think that's one of the differences here versus maybe some of the previous sessions we talked about that was more manipulation based. I would say for this category, these individuals are not necessarily manipulative with the terms of being malicious. It ends up being manipulative, but not from a place of I want to hurt you type of manipulation. It's just because I can't get myself together. It ends up it still ends up hurting you, but that was never my true intention.
Yeah.
It's just like the addict who in that moment, they really do want to be sober. They really do believe that they can be sober. They really do think that they can stop doing whatever it is that they're doing. But once they get away from you and out of your sight and into life again, it's like, yeah, I need something to help me.
Yeah, that's a different ball game. I think another aspect of this same topic is the person who is dating the individual and dating them for what they think this person is going to become.
Their image of them.
Yeah, so you done got with this person. I'm going to say dude because I date dudes. You done got with this dude and you want him to be a doctor. We'll just do something random. You want him to be a doctor and you want him to make 6 figures or 7 figures. You want him to drive this. You want him to dress like this. And he has the potential to do these things, but it's not what he wants. So you done created a whole life, or as Dr. Strickland likes to say, you done ran with a narrative in your head that nobody else is privy to. And that doesn't work when you're in a relationship.
Now, let me preface this before we get into this even deeper. We're not judging anyone out there who may find yourself in this type of situation. What we do here is try to bring information to you to process, to see if this is a situation you want to remain in, and look at yourself, because you have to do some self-care and some processing to understand if this is one of the reasons why you are not feeling fulfilled in your life.
Check yourself or you wreck yourself.
Absolutely.
How about that one?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with all of those, and potential is so dangerous because hope is a hell of a drug.
Ain't it?
And in my mind, again, in my mind, potential is steeped in hope.
Yes.
Those two for me really go hand in hand, because I have this hope that you will get to whatever that promised land is. And then that becomes the driving force.
Yeah.
Not the reality of whatever's going on, but like my hope that we will be together forever, or my hope that you will become this, particular profession, or the hope that you will finally choose me, or the hope that you will, insert whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then that almost becomes a thing that you're in love with.
And I also see this a lot with especially newly single mothers who have that hope of their baby daddy being a potentially good father at some point in their lives. And so they continue to chase this man to be a good father when, like you said, they ran with this whole story. Well, he got a good job and he do this, but he don't even want to pay child support.
He don't want to be a dad.
Right. Right.
I think sometimes you have to just look at what it is. It don't mean it's not going to hurt. I think sometimes people just continue to be like, well, it's going to change. Well, why? Where's the evidence? Like I've told interns in the past, I tell my clients, take a snapshot of what is actually happening and tell me the things that you see. Not what you feel, not what you thinking. What do you see?
What is the reality?
Yeah, because those are the facts. You can check those things. You can't check what you done came up with in your head. Does that mean you're going to have to deal with some truths you may not have been prepared for? Yeah, but the reality is going to help you formulate a better plan. Now, if you still want to deal with whoever you're dealing with, deal with them. But deal with them from a real place and not this fairy tale that you have created.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that kind of goes with that when you're, staying in a relationship based off of potential is comparison. So, that old saying, like birds of a feather kind of stick together. So but even opposites attract, we got lots of sayings that combat one another. But for example's sake, if you are with somebody because of the potential of what they can become, and then part of their friend group, somebody else has had the potential to become something and they actually become that thing, it's not staying in that mindset and comparing your potential with the potential of somebody else, because you may have the dreamer.
Yeah.
And that's where their potential will stay. But the other person has the
drive, the go get, I'm the hustle.
Right. They have the action part of potential. Now we could get all into the whole like brain piece of that, of action potentials. But in a behavioral sense, you know, when you have someone that has action potential versus passive potential, if you start comparing your passive potential to your active potential, or to the other person's active, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to feel personally defeated, you know, alone.
And you'll find yourself in this relationship miserable and too long. And the thing about it is, nobody can tell you how long to stay in this type of relationship. You know, I think that for my age, and I can only speak for me, so please don't say I'm trying to judge you. I can't date your potential. I'm too old for that. Now, when I was 19, and I would even say all throughout my 20s, I could date your potential, because I'm in college, so I got potential too. So it wasn't a guarantee that I was going to be where I'm going to be, where I am right now. So we all have potential from like 18 all through our 20s, because we working on something. But once I hit my 30, I need you to have hustled your way up to some kind of leveled career.
I need to see something.
Yes. The actions.
Yes.
That's really what it is where is your follow through? Like I hear what you're saying, but I'm paying attention to your patterns. Your patterns don't match your words.
And even when it comes to relationships, if I've been in a relationship with you, let's just say for 5 years, and you still talking about, I'm gonna marry you, I'm gonna
First of all, it's very easy to get married.
Especially when you got courthouses everywhere.
If that is the goal of your relationship, it is technically very easy to get married. And if there is something holding you back, why have you not resolved that?
Right. And I understand sometimes people do have commitment issues. People do have, and I hear this from a lot of men who say, you know, I want to have my finances right before I marry, because I want to make sure. Right. I want you to have your finances right too. But
it'd be nice.
Right. But I need you to be working on getting your finances right.
And what does right look like for you? Because, you know, y'all do have to be on the same page with that. I think a lot of times people just be throwing stuff out there because they don't feel ready. Then say you're not ready. Be honest with whoever that person is. This is something I know each of us have seen an abundance of for whatever reason in this life cycle of therapy. We have seen a lot of people dating other folks' potential. And there's such an immense amount of like desperation that ends up happening that they turn themselves into a pick-me.
Absolutely.
I'm just like, please stop it. Don't date them. I can't say that, but that's what I be feeling in my brain.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sometimes they'd be like, can I just go be a life coach? Because then I can just say whatever I want to say without any consequences. Well, let me say without. Let me not say without consequences, but I won't lose a license behind it.
Right.
But yes, there I do see that recently. I would say definitely within the last 2 years, probably. I've seen an uptick in individuals, men and women.
Yep.
So this is not when we say pick me, we're not talking about gender specific.
We're talking about
all human beings. But I have seen an increase in individuals, you know, really throwing themselves into relationships that on every level they know it's not healthy for them. Consciously, subconsciously, pre-consciously, unconsciously, you know, they know that
financially,
all the area,
spiritually,
know it,
intellectually,
but
food wise, I'm just everything,
all of the areas,
all of the above.
But we're very good at self-deception. You know, I know we haven't done a session specifically on self-deception, but I remember taking a course in college on self-deception. It was really interesting. about our brain's ability to really convince ourselves that something is true.
That cognitive dissonance.
That's real.
Yeah, even in the face of absolute evidence that the thing that we are saying is true is irrefutably not true, we still have a way of justifying in our own head why our thought is correct.
Yeah. Look at what's going on in the world right now. We ain't even gonna go down that road, but look at what is going on in the world. There's a lot of self-deception.
Yeah.
And relationships are not gonna be any different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say that desperation, that kind of leads me and kind of connects me with that self-deceptive piece. Because in order to, I have to, in order to justify staying here, when I know good and well that for the last 10 years, this person has been saying they're going to do X, Y, Z, or I've been wishing and hoping that they would do X, Y, Z, and none of that has actually come to pass.
Yeah.
But you know what, though? Sometimes potential can be with people who have taken the action. Because I remember being in college, and I dated this guy who also had I think he had already graduated. So he had a college degree. But then I was looking at where he was in his career because he was using his degree. But I was thinking, are you going to do anything else, though? Or is this it? And so I was like, yeah, no, this is not going to work because I don't plan on just being here. I need you to go do some.
And that's not everybody's ministry. You know, some people are content to just be where they are. And you have to kind of ask yourself, is that, like you did with yourself, is that acceptable for me? And that's no shade to either side, the person that wants to keep going or the person that wants to stay. But don't try to put yourselves together and y'all want two different things, which is what we typically see. People want two different things. It's just mind-boggling to see our clients in a session and it's like, but I must be with this person. And I'm like, always, but why? Why? Because I've spent so much time. That time is wasted one way or the other. Either you learned something from it or you didn't learn something from it. That's the true test of whether or not your time was wasted. Like how you said the 10 years. Okay, but did you learn something from it? Because if you didn't learn something from it and you stay with this person, that wasn't that investment was whack.
And I think you bring up a very valid point there. Is almost like, now go with me here. It's like potential in reverse. So when you say we've been together 10 years, well, it's on that hope of getting back to what we could have been or what we were.
Don't you read me?
Don't
you be on here reading me, Dr. Strickland.
Okay. That's why I was like, that's reverse potential. Trying to get back to something. Shoot. So then you end up staying with a person because of this hope again, which leads you to desperation. And you stay with somebody because of the memory of what you were.
Let me go put myself in the corner. You almost made me cuss.
Because I have a lot of married couples that I've seen that are like that.
That is true.
They know that they really know that they're on their last leg and that coming to therapy was their last ditch effort, but it's still holding out hope.
Well, I want to get back to what we were. First of all, why do you want to go back that way? Because my thing, why do
that's
you
what
want to go
led you
back?
here?
Right. That's what led you here. And why do you met them when you were 19? You 45 now. Why do you want to go back to your 19-year-old brain?
Yeah. That don't work. That's something I tell my clients. Okay, so realize we not going backwards. So we going to tear this whole thing up and recreate something. And if that's not what you would like, please see another therapist. And I'm okay with that. Fire me. I'm okay with that.
Because you starting a whole new chapter with a whole lot of pages.
And it's obvious that in most situations that come to us, y'all were not honest from the get-go. So we have to go and pick up the person you were when you met each other first. Then we have to recreate what happened. Then we have to be like, all of that was wrong. Then we have to rebuild with the pieces that you actually like and then try it out. It's a couples is a process for you.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
It really is.
And then on top of that, now you have to figure out what you want now.
Mm-hmm.
Because
and that changes.
And it's changed probably several times
and
by the time you get
to.
Yes.
If my significant other turn over and say, "You not the same person I married," I'm be like, "Duh, I'm not supposed to be."
Right.
Like, I wish I would stay stagnant.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we are growing apart, then yeah, we need to sit down and be like, okay, well, how do we reconnect? How do we get, what things do you like in this stage of your life? These are the things that I like in this stage. Let's figure out some stuff we can do together. That's totally okay. But being caught up in the past, good or bad, because sometimes we also see that people be like, well, she did this, but is she doing that now?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I literally just got out of a session where I had to say, is she doing this now? No.
Well, no.
Okay, so what you talking about?
Right.
Well, I have to go off of how things have. Okay, so how many more months does she need to not do what you saying she doing? Because it's been a year. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And I think that's another, the flip side of staying with somebody because of memories.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you can stay with someone because of memories of the past on the positive end.
Mm-hmm.
We used to be so this. We used to have this much wild, kinky, you know, love sessions, you know, or we used to go out all the time. But you can also stay with somebody because of memories because they hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you're doing it unconsciously, but I want you to hurt too.
Mm-hmm.
Or I want to either reap the benefit or, you know, of staying with you in spite of that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm staying because of all this junk that's been there, but I don't want that to be my legacy or my truth.
Yeah. We see that in a lot of military couples.
Mm-hmm.
They be like, I got to get that retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's a stupid reason to stay.
Or
you could have been
even
out year one.
or even with children.
Yeah.
I want to stay until the children go off to college. And
Them kids know y'all hate each
Right.
other. And will come to therapy and tell the other therapists that we know my mama and daddy hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
But you stand for them. No, you stand for yourself. You stand for the status.
Mm-hmm. The convenience, the
Yeah.
companionship,
Might be the money.
the
There's
benefits.
A lot of that.
Could be the sassy time.
That too, for some.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, you know, staying for, you know, and people stay in relationships for all kinds of reasons, whether those are communicated, you know, between or only in one person's head. But I think these two in particular, now this is outside of any type of abuse. So let's kind of go ahead and couch and disclaimer that. But I think
But some people do stay because in abusive relationships, because depending on the type of abuse or the situation, because of financial stability, like that's their only, they think that's their only option. So abuse can be a reason too.
Oh yeah. No, I agree with you there. But what I was saying was outside of abuse.
Oh, I didn't let you finish. My bad.
It's okay. Outside of abuse situations, I think these two are potentially the most emotionally damaging.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we know abuse can cover so many different types of areas.
Yeah.
But outside of a truly abusive relationship, I think continuing to be in a relationship with somebody because of what you think they can be or hope them to be, or because of what they were and what you miss, can be some of the most emotionally damaging to the self.
Yeah.
Not necessarily emotionally damaging to them, but to you.
And I think that remembering the time when they were this and that, you know, I think that, like Dr. Wall was saying earlier, you have to pay attention to what they are now, regardless of whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing. You still have to pay attention to what they are now, because I think the reason why a lot of people don't talk about the changes, rather, is because they don't realize they're changing. They don't realize they have changed, and they don't know how to communicate that, okay, I don't like roses anymore.
I mean,
I like
we are
tulips.
very disconnected from self and others. We doing life with a lot of people, but we really not present. We just walking around in bodies. We in the Matrix at this point.
Yes, I would agree with that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And I think this is specifically when we're doing couples work. I think this is one of the reasons, like the Gottman, like love maps, thing is really important for couples to do, because you do realize that you miss so much about your partner once you get into the, the minutia of day to day. Go to work, come home, do this, go to work, and you just get into that grind of it's the same thing day in, day out, day in, day out. And then as you are changing and setting different goals, like we've talked already, and they get to changing and setting other goals, and then you realize it's two people and you're with them, but you're with them because of what's in your head.
Yeah. And your journey is different. I listened to TD Jakes. I can't remember what the sermon was, but I think it was a panel. And he was talking about how when men say, okay, let's go on vacation, they have a totally different idea of what vacation mean, and women have a totally different meaning. So he said, well, babe, if I said, okay, let's go on vacation, what would you think? She said, I get to sleep. And he said, see, already we on two different pages. He said, because when men say, okay, let's go on vacation, we think, oh man, we about to have sex.
But that may also be an indication that you need to clue into your significant other, because there is something that your partner is not getting. If she that tired,
why?
What is she not getting?
Rest.
Right. And if he wants sex, what is he not getting?
Yep.
Draws.
As my bestie says, the panty draws.
But I agree with all of that, what you guys are saying, and I think this is where, we can start looking at what is the destruction that happens with being or staying with somebody because of these two kind of concepts. What happens to because we've talked about this before, there's three people in a relationship, or three entities. There's you, your partner, and the relationship itself. All three of those things want and need something different. So when you look at, being with your partner because of who you hope them to be, or things that you've created in your mind that could happen, or staying with them because of what was, what is the destruction that happens to that third entity, the relationship? And then what is the destruction that happens to you as individuals? Because while you may be the one that has oh, well, they said they were going to, marry me in 3 years. What does that do to you? And then what does having that mindset do to them? Because your behavior is going to, align with what's in your head. Your feelings, your thoughts, feelings, and actions all interact and interplay off one another. So if my mind is telling me I'm going to have this in this time frame, then my behavior is going to reflect that thought. So that may include things like pressuring this person, questioning them, that kind of stuff. And then what does that do to your partner?
Well, the thing about it is, I believe that when it becomes those three entities, I think the relationship then suffers, because now it's based on what each individual want, and I'm doing what I need to do to get my agenda across. And so then the relationship suffers, because I'm not paying attention to what you want as my partner. I'm paying more attention to what I want and what I think I need. And so that may not be what you can give me. So then, but I'm still staying, and and now I'm suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because I was just thinking about, I have, over the last few months, had some clients specifically in that situation, more specifically about, continuing to be with somebody, and with the hopes of getting married, but that has not quite come to pass.
Yeah.
And it's unclear whether it is actually going to. And it's really hard to break through that dissonance as a clinician, break through that. Like, that's why I was saying earlier, hope is a hell of a drug. And, hope is what keeps people going. Like, you think about people that suffer, One of my favorite books is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
You said that, and I was going to tell you, shout out to Dr. Bob, who was the former president of the Viktor Frankl Institute. He passed away today.
Oh, dang.
He's my former professor. So shout out to Dr. Bob and his family.
Yeah, rest in peace. But Man's Search for Meaning is one of my, I probably read this book at least 4 or 5 times. But in that book, it's all about hope.
Yeah.
And for those that aren't aware, very brief kind of overview of this book, but it's about a man being at a concentration camp and just how people were able to be resilient and still, make it through, even though they were going through these horrendous conditions, and still be able to see the good in the world and, persevere and move forward. So that's why I say, hope is a hell of a drug, because it can really get you out of a lot of situations. There's even research for like cancer survivors.
Yep.
About having hope and how that really affects the body and helps you heal. So when you think about being in that headspace in a romantic partnership, it can lead you to make decisions and do things that under any other circumstance you would never do.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, and that's I think I'll just speak as women, since I'm a woman. As women, we have to be mindful of not trying to be a hero and trying to
rescue
him and in the ways of pushing him into his reality. Like, that is going, because then you begin to pay more attention to his needs and his wants and where he's going, and you lose yourself.
He don't want it, sis.
Mm-hmm.
You can encourage. Ain't nothing wrong with encouraging.
Right.
But if you are doing more work than the person that's supposed to be doing it, that is an indication that they don't want it. Or there's something else going on where outside help may be needed.
And then you have to understand where all of that hero complex come from too. Like, you can't be fearful of being single. You can't be fearful of being a single mother. You can't be fearful of, doing this thing called life on your own, and then end up staying in something unhealthy. So you have to figure out where that came from. Is that something that you grew up in, where you saw somebody in your life to where, like Dr. Strickland was saying earlier, comparing yourself? Like, did you see somebody in your life finally make it, and they in their 50s or in their 60s, and they finally did it, and so you think that you can love him into his reality until he gets 60 and he'll make it? Like, you have to understand where all of that come from.
Yeah. Speaking of unhealthy, it would be very unhealthy for us to not take a commercial break right now, so you can listen to our new ads. But we'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Hey, y'all.
Hey girl, what you been up to?
Nothing much, just working, trying some new things. I like to make them corns, honey.
Okay, ma'am. What are these new things?
Well, I am thinking about starting a podcast.
Seriously?
Yes.
Ooh, we have one, right?
I thought y'all did. Okay, so good. I'm talking to the right people. I've been doing some research, and I've been trying to figure out a hosting site.
Okay.
Okay. You can use the one we use. We use Anchor.
Hold on, though. Hold on. Y'all balling.
Here she goes.
Y'all balling, so y'all can afford to do that. Is it free?
Yeah, girl, it's free. We're not out here trying to spend all that money. We keep our coins in the bank. Plus, it has a lot of great tools that help you to sound very professional.
Come on, be professional. Okay. So it got good tools and it's free. So where can I put it?
So you can find it pretty much everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. I mean, pretty much anywhere that you listen to podcasts.
Yeah. Okay. Because y'all know I'm an Apple girl.
Yes, whatever. We do. But get this.
Okay.
You can also make some money with it too. And you don't even have to have a whole bunch of listeners either.
Wait a minute. Seriously?
Yeah, sponsorships.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So basically, this thing is just like a big old one-stop shop.
Okay. So then I really just need to go ahead and download this free Anchor app.
Yeah, or you can just go to anchor.fm if you want to do it on your little laptop, and you can just immediately get started.
Okay. Well, you know what? I knew I came to the right place. I knew it. Boss ladies, boss ladies.
We got your
Thank
back.
you,
We
lady.
got your back.
You welcome. So anyway, what you got going on this weekend?
Girl, I'm shopping. I be liking to make coins, but I like to spend them too.
Yes.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm just going to take a nap.
That sounds like you.
Well, I do be sleepy. Y'all don't like bed?
All right, we're back, guys.
So when y'all think about those thoughts that kind of start running through your mind when you're in that place of desperation or you're in that place of brokenness, what do y'all think that does to the person? Those thoughts.
I would say one of the first things is, you guys know I hate the term self-esteem, but we just gonna run with it. I think it tears at your self-esteem.
I was going to say it tears at all of the selves. Esteem, confidence, and worth. But go ahead, I interrupted.
No, you good. I would agree with you on that. You know, there is, and it leads to like disbelief, inability, disbelief in self. You know, I've spoken to people and they just don't have any trust in them anymore.
Yeah.
Especially once they've gotten out of those situations.
Yeah.
You know, I think for me, from what I've seen, the bigger damage is once I've gotten out.
Yeah. Because they realize they allowed themselves to be in that situation. So if I can't make wise choices, how can I be left alone with me?
And you know what I typically tell my clients with that is that now you have the experience. And so now you know what to look for and what to run away from. And even if, because the thing about it is, and like we say all the time, stop falling in like and in love with representatives.
It's clumsy.
Exactly. You have to start, we as people, we have to start making sure we're paying attention to those things that were red flags in the beginning of the last relationship that we saw or was in, and ignore it. Like, that's a red flag for some reason. And so so pay attention. Like my cousin and I used to say, we're going to just sit in the nosebleed section and watch.
Yeah. There you go. I like it.
And then sometimes even to piggyback off what the Dr. Jones Hines is saying is that it's not even about paying attention to the red flags. Do you know what you want? Because a person don't have to be the spawn of Satan for them not to be your person.
Right.
Like, everybody that don't want you or you don't want them is not evil.
And sometimes,
and I think we do that a lot.
Yes. And sometimes it's people that we mesh well with that's still not our person.
No.
So it's
because they in the wrong position.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people come into your life because they supposed to be your best friend or they supposed to be your accountant. You ain't just supposed to be with them romantically just because everything else match up well.
So stop putting everybody in boyfriend or girlfriend category, because that's not the only two categories that you can have in your life.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So, and y'all's experience in working with people that have had, you know, these kinds of situations come up, do you find that there are differences or similarities in between men and women in, you know, kind of what they fall victim to?
Honestly, I'm gonna be for real. It be the same.
Yeah.
It really do. Now, I think everybody wants different stuff, so that's why I'm not even gonna worry about that aspect, but it really be the same. When somebody wants a particular person to be in their life and they gonna do X, Y, and Z, it's across the board.
Yeah, I would have to say I think it's the same, but I think what I've found, I'm trying to remember. I think what I've been seeing is women tend to stick and stay longer.
Yeah, because we still live in a very patriarchal society where our value is tied to having a man. because we only had rights since 1913.
Mm-hmm.
And not even full rights, just the beginning of them.
True.
So
that is so
that
true.
wasn't that long ago.
Right.
It's people still alive from 1913.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with you, Dr. Jones-Hines. I would say I actually agree with both of you. For what I was going to say is what I've seen is that the actions, I think, of being in those types of relationships and the reasons behind are fairly equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
But I do notice that my women clients stay longer than my male clients.
I agree with that as well. But what you will find is somebody jumping into your DM and be like, what you been up to? How's your life been going?
The slow blink that was going on over here.
You know, it just show up differently, but it be the same stuff. You know, that's...
So you bring up an interesting point. So it just kind of keyed in, and this was not a part of our, topic, guys. It's just something that Dr. Wall just said that made me think about it. So we're talking about being with somebody for potential or staying because of memories. What about throwback people? So like you were saying, somebody hopping into your DM, somebody that you used to date that, kind of keeps coming back and popping back up into your life. Do you guys, where do you think that lies within this spectrum?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think I was going to say, for me, when it's happened to me, it's been based off of memories.
Gotcha.
And I will say, I think it's smack dab in the middle and has both. Because there's a potential to get back to what it was or what it could be, and then you're basing it off of the memories. And y'all know the interns, the interns know, y'all know, I've been real honest. I've had an on again, off again relationship with an individual to where just recently I was like, I ain't gonna be able to do this no more because it's a pattern going on.
A pattern.
As my Tennessee folks was like, a pattern that's going on to where I'm left in shambles. And I don't really think I should do that to myself continuously. So after the things that individual told me the last time, which were very hurtful, the girls read them. All the girls. Read them because I had to check myself. I was like, okay, am I tripping? Am I reading this wrong? Am I reading this right? What is the situation? And that's why you should have good people in your corner and your circle to keep you in check. And it's not that anybody hadn't been keeping me in check. My mama had, my besties had, my family members had, and it's this situation where they love this individual, but they know this individual is not healthy for me. And I cannot continue to keep myself in limbo and waiting on this person to show up in a manner that is healthy for me, because it's obvious that that's not what they want. And if they feel like they can be disrespectful, that sends it to a whole other level. And I take full ownership of staying. I take full ownership of not realizing that my needs were just as important as that person's needs, because anybody knows me, I go into full on like submissive woman. Like I want to be led because I'm tired. I'm a boss every day. I just want what you need. You want a plate, a hot plate or a cold plate? What plate you want? You want a drink?
Oh, man.
What you know what I'm saying? Because it that's a lot easier life than always having to be Dr. Wall, entrepreneur of 6 different businesses, and okay, the podcast host. Like that's an easier lifestyle for me. But when you get with somebody and they're not appreciative of what you are giving them, you have to be like, okay, well, let me take this somewhere else.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead. You go
No.
ahead. Oh,
You right. You scrape.
So I think, so for me, I have not taken many back. I think the 2 that I took back, one was someone I dated in high school, and he cheated, and so I left him alone. But then I think that one came back because of the expectations that others had. Like they was like, man, this mind done changed and stuff.
We didn't
like
get into that. The potential that other people see that they place those expectations on you.
Yes. Yes. And so I think that was why I took this particular person back because of that. And we dated our whole, senior year and everything was fine, but he still was doing like slick slide stuff, like with other.
That don't feel good,
and it did not feel good. And so when we broke up, because I left to go to college, he tried to come back, and I was like, I couldn't even trust you when I was in Memphis. I'm not taking you back now.
Yeah,
it makes you wonder, why do individuals feel that they need to treat you that way in order to get a leg up on you when I'm here? I'm here. You don't have to do nothing extra for me to be here. I'm choosing to be here. Who hurt you and why are you not healing? Right. Let it go, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that is. But see, but I think even then I knew I needed to take care of myself.
Yeah.
But then the next person wasn't better.
You wasn't fully healed.
Obviously. Because this one I kept going back. And he kept cheating. But I think I kept going back this time was because I was connected to his family. And so I think I was more connected to the family. And so I felt like I kept taking the family back. Yeah. But in order for me to take the family back, I didn't necessarily have to take him back, but that was my connection.
We get it. Yeah.
Yeah. That was my connection.
That's a hard one, especially when you grow up. I'm going to just say it for us, because I know we have. When you grow up in the South and you're taught certain things as a Southern woman, there's a lot of nurturing that goes into building those relationships with your potential persons, family, and all of that. It's hard to sever those connections. Don't let them have no kids, because then it's a whole other problem.
Yeah. And see, that was the thing. Like, I'm very family oriented, and for him to be, for his family to be the way they were, and he had the rims and the Timbs, and he was a little thuggish. He had a little rough on him.
Had a little rough neck.
He had a little rough, and so that's what I was attracted to at that time. So I kept taking him back until I got tired. Yeah. And once I got tired, he knew I was tired, and I was done.
When that tide come, it be like done.
It ain't nothing.
They be talking to you. You want some food? No. You sure you're not hungry? I'm good.
I know we're not supposed to talk about Mr. Kelly, but him and a certain lady made a song about when a woman's fed up.
Oh Lord. We just gonna deal with.
We just gonna leave
her.
Sparkle. Yeah, I mean, but that's true. Like, once you have, and I would say that's true for both sex, but that song was about a woman. But once a person has reached their done, like that, there is literally nothing you can do.
Here's the benediction.
It's over.
Yeah. I try not to be that way. The Scorpio in me can be very vicious and sting the crap out of people. And for me to be as loving and empathic as I am, for me to go there, I know that ain't a good place. So when I'm done, you don't exist. Like you don't exist at all. You're a figment of my imagination.
Say poof, be gone. I'm trying to think. So for myself, I also have, I think we all do. We all done took somebody back multiple times. I would say that mine was definitely, I think it started because of memories. The taking back. Let me think about that for a second.
See, this is why we need a soundboard.
So let me rephrase that. I think I stayed with this person initially because of potential. I was, and I've talked about this in different sessions before, that I was a very different person at that time of my life than I am right now. Much more timid and mild-mannered, kind of meek. So and he was a dope boy. You know, he was, you know, like that same kind of thing. Like he was fast, he was wild, he was, you know, everything that you would want in that kind of a person. And when this individual was in a clear, let me just say, a clear head of space, they were great. You know, they were a great partner. So I think initially I stayed with this person because of potential of what I thought he could be. And even deeper, if I want to do a deep dive on myself, what I thought I could make him become. But through the series of events that took place over the next few years, I kept taking him back because of the memories of those good times that, okay, so when this person is in a clear headspace, like, we're great, it's great, it's all peachy keen. And stayed way too long with this person. And then the subsequent, you know, emotional work and behavioral changes that came after that, I am grateful for them. You know, I'm grateful for that experience because I've now become the person that I've become, even with the work that I still got to do as an individual now, but that's based off different experiences. But I am grateful for, even though I hate having gone through some of those things, I'm glad that I did, because I don't think that I would have naturally become the person that I became.
Speaking of, you know, behavior and emotional changes, let's go ahead and take another break so that we can listen to Balance Beacon's ad. And after that, She Dance Studios.
It's so much going on in the world right now, and we could all use some extra support. At Balance Beacon, we offer counseling services for individuals, couples, families, and groups. If you're in Texas, give us a call at 214-396-6503 or visit our website at www.balancebeacon.com for more information.
Ladies, are you looking for a new way to get your body right and your body tight? Well, let me give you the scoop on She. She Dance Studios is a women's only sensual fitness program geared towards unleashing that inner goddess. We're currently offering classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. inside Active Family Wellness, located at 4120 North Collins Street, Suite 200, Arlington, Texas 76005. For more information, DM us on Instagram or Facebook at She Dance Studios.
Well, welcome back, guys. We hope you enjoyed those nice,
lovely ads,
helpful, soothing, and brand spanking new ads. But, you know, we kind of wanted to transition into, so what is the mind frame that you got to get into once you recognize that you are in a space of being or staying with someone because, you know, of what they can do, what they could be, what you could make them into, or because of what was. You know, what is some of the things that need to take place for you to start to, you know, lay the groundwork to move forward?
I would start off by saying, understand that this is not an overnight process.
Not at all.
You definitely have to do some self-reflection in understanding yourself and knowing, is this what you want for the rest of your life? Better yet, is this something you want for the next 6 months?
The thing that I was thinking about just when I get back into my own headspace, back when I was in a relationship like that, was shame. You know, there was, you know, I really had to get through a lot of shame of this was knowing that this was not where I needed to be, and people watching me take this person back, take this person back, take this person back. Even though I never promised that I wouldn't take this person back, but you still get that. People know the eyeballs on you kind of thing.
How can you be such a smart girl and make such stupid decisions?
That kind of thing. So, really working through the shame of having been in that place.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say something that Dr. Strickland and I have talked about several times, just us talking about stuff, is determining what it feels like. And I think that's one of the realest things that I went through, is realizing I don't like the way this feels. So why would I want to keep going back or bringing it back or allowing him to come back when I'm not staying like grounded in the moment? I'm letting what I feel in the moment be overshadowed by what I feel about the past or where we're trying to get to.
And I think for me, I had to get past understanding that I'm worth more than this. Like, I can't keep taking you back and you keep cheating. And because every time you cheat and I take you back and you cheat again and I keep this cycle going, it tears away at me. And so then I start believing that this is something wrong with me.
You deserve it.
And for those of you, one of the things that Dr. Wall was just saying is knowing what it feels like. For those of you who will say, well, I don't know what real love feels like. You may not know what real love feels like, but you know what makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're very good at saying what we don't like. We may have a hard time identifying what we do like. You ask somebody what they want to eat and they say, I don't know. But you want chicken? No. You want burger? No. You want taco? No. You want spaghetti? No. So we're really good at identifying what we don't like, what we don't want, what we don't. So I agree with you there. If that's where you need to start, then start there. Yeah. It's at least a jumping off point for you.
Yeah. Something that I have my clients do often is to write a description of their ideal person. And this is just characteristics. It's not necessarily about money or anything like that. Because I think there needs to be an understanding of what you need to go after. And even if you're a traditional person and you believe a woman shouldn't go after a man, you still can put that good energy out there, even if you ain't chasing him. And so that way it's from a place of affirmation instead of a place of withdrawal, kind of like what y'all were saying. We know what we don't want, but we don't know what we do. So when you don't know what you want, you're going to keep attracting that because you don't know the things that are good for you personally. So you're not putting that out there. You're not setting your intention. You're not manifesting the man of your dreams. You're manifesting the person you don't want.
You manifesting the man of your nightmare.
Okay.
We don't want that.
Yes. And I think wrapped up in all of this is honesty with self. Definitely.
It is the best policy.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Because if you can't be honest with you, then who else is going to be honest with you?
Yeah.
You are in your own head. You hear your own voice internally. No one else is master of that domain. Thank goodness we can't actually mind read because it'd be a very sad world or we would all annihilate each other. But, you are the master of what's going on in your own head. So be honest with yourself if you see that things are not going quite the way that you had hoped, you planned, you wanted, insert all of that it's okay to pivot and change directions. You don't have to stay because of then insert whatever reason.
Yeah.
Nothing should make you keep somebody that don't need to be kept.
That is true.
I'm a firm believer in, twice a year I assess myself, and I don't mean from a Freudian place because we know he had issues, but from a place of like there are 5 areas in my life, and I learned this from my former minister in Abilene, Dr. Tony Roach. I look at my health, my wealth, my career, my faith, and my relationships, and I assess them on my new year, which is my birthday, and then 6 months later, because I need to be checking in with myself and making sure that, okay, am I following what I need to get? Am I doing the things that I need to do in order to get where I'm trying to go? And that area of relationships is always the hardest thing for me to figure out, as well as for my clients when I have them do it as well. And I'm just like, well, you're going to have to do it.
And to add on to that, I pay attention to my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual stability on a more regular, because those are more daily
check-ins.
Yeah. So I definitely do that for myself. And this is some of the things that I encourage my clients to check in regularly to make sure that those areas are stable in their lives, because if it's not, then there's a need not being met, there's something that needs to be focused on, there's something that needs feeding, and that makes you have to pay attention to that area.
What are some things that y'all would suggest for people who want to stay with the potential, stay with the memories?
Be honest that's why you're staying.
And ask yourself, how are you going to experience peace, joy, contentment, and overall just, I hate to say happy, joyful life.
Good quality.
Yeah. In order, if you stay in this relationship.
And what are you going to do different behaviorally? Because again, remember, if you are, not paying attention to like what the stuff that Dr. Jones-Hines just said, and being honest with yourself while you're doing that and trying to figure out how you're going to have that, your behavior is going to have to change along with that. Because if you continue to still think the way that you were thinking, your actions will still show that you're not in those places. So really taking stock of that interconnectedness between thoughts, feelings, and actions.
I would say if you choose to stay, make sure that this is a healthy choice for you. If this is something that you can actually live with for the rest of your life, and then identify ways that you may need to adjust the environment that you're in order not to get to a place of resentment, because y'all's views are still never going to align. And so that means if you are staying, you are choosing to give up what you wanted for what they want. And that is a huge sacrifice. It's not to say that you can't make it, but if you are going to make it, I would prefer you to do it as healthily as possible.
And if you already are experiencing resentments, you need to work through those.
Yeah, because that's not making it any better.
Because and those resentments are going to manifest whether you are on purpose or not. They're going to manifest in one way, shape, or form.
And it ain't nothing but a hop, skip, and a jump to hatred.
You ain't never lied.
Okay.
Well, as customary, we love giving you all quotes to end our sessions. So this quote today is by Mandy Hale. No matter how attractive a person's potential may be, you have to date their reality.
Must be this volume control.
So, okay, interns, process your notes. Be sure to catch us next session and find us on all major platforms at The Recycled Podcast.
If you're a new intern, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Thanks for listening. And remember, we are shifting and reshaping our psyche through healing conversations and connections, one discussion at a time.